Anyways, we're watching this Onision video today. Thank you for giving my life meaning. And I honestly don't know shit about Onision. I watch zero of his content. I consume none of it ever. And there you have it.
Hey guys, this video, in a way, has been made before, but I don't think it's ever been made like this. When you experience the online community, depends on what generation you're a part of, but when I first started, I was U.S. Air Force Security Forces airman. So I was...
He was the guy who had to walk the flight line and make sure that people weren't messing with my plane. He kept my plane safe for me and then made me show him a silly badge before I could get on the flight line to get in it. That's what he did.
Serving my country. And
it's a necessary job. They do a lot of good stuff. That's just my interaction with him. You're keeping me away from getting in through the gate. You're keeping me away from getting onto my plane.
You know, at first, the whole thing was a wild story. And I wrote about some of it in one of the books I put out. About to be released, I guess, I don't know. But I thought that YouTube was a really cool, awesome thing. And oh my god, it really was. Like, the biggest thing on YouTube was like memes, and I guess they just took a lot of like content from other people. Hey, full movie, watch now on YouTube free, like, you know, that. But no, YouTube used to be dope. It used to be super cool. It was a small community, and I got featured on the main page of YouTube, and it was awesome for a song that people informed me was terrible. It was I'm So Gamer. You can go listen to I'm So Gamer now if you want to hear how bad it was. But it got 770,000 views, which I thought was really cool. Like that. Views. But it got, mostly dislikes, unfortunately. Or actually, no, back then it was like 5-star rating, so it was not rated well. It was like a 2.5 or something. Point is, that got me like 1,000 subscribers or something, and that was really cool. Love that. And then I like beefed with the Amazing Atheist, and it was about vegetarianism, where he said for every video that this vegetarian makes, I want you to go out of your way to eat meat, is what he said. And so I made 8 videos back to back to make people sick of eating meat.
That would have backfired terribly. If he said something about this one, like, okay, then you should just go eat meat or something, if that was something about this video, I would end the stream right now and start it back up in about an hour. And I would make myself a steak with steak and more steak dinner. And I would sit here and eat like 5 steaks just to spite him for the silliness of the entire situation.
Like, just one after the other, I'm like, it's like smoking a full pack of cigarettes to get people over it. Yeah, that backfired a little for the Amazing Atheist, but that was funny, and it was cool. It's a cool experience, and he and I eventually met. I think we shook hands. He's a much bigger man than me, physically.
Yeah, because for most people, a meatless diet is not going to be sufficient for like muscle development if you're trying to grow big bulky muscles. So somebody who is eating meat and trying to get that kind of physique is much more likely to get it than somebody who is not.
I don't know about the other stuff. You'd have to do a full biography on both of them.
Like here, we'll rewind what he just said a little bit. So here's a fair little simile for what I was saying and getting at here. If you want muscles, you should probably eat muscles, right? You are what you eat. If you want muscles, you should probably eat muscles while doing the physical activities required for you to develop those muscles. Because you are what you eat. It's not a direct one-to-one that you eat muscles, you're going to get muscles or something like that. It's obviously not how it works. It's just the fact that that is a phrase that exists for good reason. You are what you eat. And if you eat like shit, you're going to feel like shit. And if you don't feel like shit, it's probably because you're used to feeling that way, so your body ignores it. So, but it operates like ass. It's like you're not going to be capable of going on a 20-mile rock. You can't go on a rock. The hell am I saying? A 20-mile walk. I think I just mixed ruck and walk together and got rock, whatever. Anyway, you're not going to go on like a 10-mile walk with just maybe a camelback, so you have water and have an easy time of it, compared to someone like myself who's not just like crazy in shape or like the peak physical fitness. Like I'm not even at my own physical peak. I've been in better shape, like much better physical shape than I am right now. But right now I could go walk 10 miles fairly easily with no water right now. And it's double check because it did just start raining. It's 80 degrees out here, and with the humidity, it feels like 92, according to the Weather Channel. So, and I would be able to do that right now, without water, be fine. If you are not treating your body correctly, you would struggle with that, without water. So, to an extent, you really are what you eat. And if you're not eating muscles, but you want to develop muscles, you can do it, but it's probably going to be much more difficult unless you're taking supplements that are supplementing the things that you would be getting more of naturally just by eating meat.
And it was cool.
So obviously he's going to be a little smaller.
It's a cool experience. And he and I eventually met. I think we shook hands. He's a much bigger man than me. Physically. I don't know about the other stuff. You'd have to do a full biography on both of us to really figure that one out. But there was so many cool people on YouTube at the time. Like Shane Dawson was super cool. There was this guy named Keep the Heat, which I didn't really like. Why would I say it then? Just wasn't a huge fan. I thought it just wasn't my brand of comedy. He did a lot of things that were like putting a celebrity in his thumbnail for a music video. And he's like, Jay-Z in this, and then you click on it and it's just him. There's no celebrity rapping or anything.
Oh, that'd be really annoying.
He was doing something right or wrong. I was more of a butts and cleavage in the thumbnail, and then I would react to it in the video or whatever for celebrities with plastic surgery or whatever, stuff like that. But no. In the beginning, YouTube was very cool. It was very fun to mess with the algorithm and try to figure out what's what, and we had a lot of free speech back then. You could say a lot of things that you cannot say anymore, like iDubbbz would drop the N-word with a hard R over and over and over again, and he was fine back then, which is not fine. Not okay. I was in videos bleeping out the word N-I-D-D, NID, and people thought it was N-I-G-G. No, I bleeped it because it was NID. I was making fun of racist people, but no, people were like, see this as proof. And it's like, no, I was saying NID and bleeping out the duh part so it would sound like it as a joke because I was making fun of racist people. That's why I was doing it in a southern accent, because only southern people... I'm just kidding. But the South will rise again. That was like the whole song. Like, people didn't get the joke. They did back then, but now they don't get the joke. That's kind of the problem, right? I also made this video where
that is kind of the problem. The fact that your joke does not withstand the test of time. Right. And a lot of comedy doesn't. So that's just the nature of the beast with that one. The problem is the way that people can't look at something from the past and acknowledge that it's just a joke and that we all thought it was funny. Like, I don't even know what... Like, I didn't listen to the song, so I'm just speaking in general. someone could make a joke about that type of thing, and everyone in general would laugh because, on average, we all understood that it's a joke. And now everybody has to see a joke and find the reason to be mad at it instead of the reason to laugh with it. Which is a sad way to live. You're choosing to be upset on a constant basis instead of just enjoying the time you have in this world. That's very sad.
I was throwing literal candy corn at my girlfriend at the time, who was dressed as Harley Quinn. She was dressed as Harley Quinn. I was dressed as the literal Joker. I was throwing candy corn at her, and as the Joker, I said, "No one will know how much I abuse you because I'm throwing candy corn at her, right? It's a joke." Yeah. Today, like back then, it got 1,000 likes.
It's true.
And like 1,100 and something likes, and like maybe 50 dislikes. Today, people are like, "Oh my god, oh my god," and it's like everyone got the joke back then, but people don't get the joke now. Like, freaking the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, he tweeted something about liking little boys, right? It's a joke. He was joking. Gross. Super gross.
Once again, if that is a fucking joke, that's disgusting. Maybe there was something going on at the time that you could use as context to make it into a joke. Given what's going on recently, currently, and back then, that people now are very aware of, but back then were not. Predominantly because just information wasn't as readily accessed or accessible. The way the internet operates now is very different. And now people understand how terrible the attraction to minors is in Hollywood and how predominant it seems to be. So.
But he was joking, right? People got the joke back then, and then today they're like, "What a monster!" Which, by the way, now he's in charge of the whole DC franchise or something like that, because the cast of Games of Thrones, Guardians of the Galaxy, they stood up and they said, "No, this was a joke. Understand a joke." And people tweet jokes all the time, like PewDiePie tweeting, "Everyone has their tricks to get." It was horrible joke. People got it. Shane Dawson was tweeting at someone about sticking a banana inside their body in an inappropriate way. People got the joke back then. They didn't get it later. Our current culture is the scariest thing ever. Because what they try to do is they try to criminalize or otherwise seriously hurt you for jokes. And that's really, really scary. I'm not talking about like privately telling people jokes or privately saying something to someone who's they perceive it as a joke or don't perceive it as a joke and blah blah blah. We're talking about public, like when people publicly say things and they're like in the genre of entertainer or in the genre of comedy or whatever.
The problem is text is a terrible medium. It is an absolutely terrible medium. Now the issue of YouTube videos might just be deadpan humor. Deadpan humor is hard to identify. A lot of people don't recognize it. And it's the hardest one to do well because it still has to come across as a joke, but you're not trying to deliver it like a joke because that's deadpan humor. And that's why it misses a lot of the time. That's why it does so terribly now compared to then. Then deadpan humor worked much better than it does now. The thing is, jokes don't come from a place of good or bad. Jokes come from a place of trying to make you laugh. That's it. It doesn't mean that the people making the joke believe the joke. It doesn't mean that the joke is a real thing that's even taking place. It doesn't even mean that it's a real thing that's possible in the tangible world and the way we currently understand it right now. But they will say it to make you laugh. The intention is to make you laugh. It doesn't have to be any kind of basis in reality, their life, their beliefs, their views, or things that they hold. It's They're just trying to make you laugh. And they don't have to be a comedian to do it. They're just trying to make you laugh. This is why little kids say such terrible shit to each other. It's because they think that terrible shit is going to make someone laugh. And that's all they're worried about. They're just trying to make someone laugh. They don't care what they're saying means. A lot of the time they don't even know. They just say it because they're trying to make you laugh. That's all that jokes are. They're the same thing. And people today want to use somebody trying to be funny and make a joke against them instead of just being like, yeah, that doesn't work for me, and moving along. You don't have to like every joke that somebody says. You can just move along. You don't have to be offended and act like you're being physically attacked because you disagree with what somebody says either, because you're not. It's quite over the top, really.
And people are like, yeah, that's real. That's totally real. Like now. But back then they were like, ha ha ha, we get the joke. It's like people lost their sense of humor over time. Anyway, the point is back then, I really enjoyed making content. It was so exciting and so fun and so wonderful. People saw things oftentimes for the way they were, based on facts and like video evidence and stuff like that wasn't edited out of context, but rather was the full picture or whatever. People understood things more back then, and it was really cool. But then over time, it just became like, let's cancel Tobuscus and not hear his side of the story. You guys remember that? Like, you guys.
I don't, because I don't care. Like, I don't even know who that is.
What is that? Like, he was one of the best entertainers. Tobuscus is one of the best entertainers on YouTube, and you.
I don't know who that is.
Over the words of some random person you have no idea is credible. That's so bizarre. Like, when you.
It is bizarre.
A person who. I don't want to say that person's crazy or anything, but let's just say that you don't know what their mental state is. And you're saying that they're 100% accurate and that Tobuscus is this total bad person. And then Tobuscus came out and told his side of the story, and suddenly you guys are like, oh, I get it now. Why didn't you wait for him to tell his side of the... It's not the point. It's not here or there. The point is that...
No, see, that's another way that society has shifted in this very weird, strange way that's just odd to try and figure out and comprehend or wrap our minds around. Because you're not supposed to accuse people of shit and then just run with it. We were all raised, at least when I was a kid, to sit back and go think about things from the perspective of, you are innocent until proven guilty. That's how we were taught law was done. That you were treated innocent until proven guilty. And that you were treated that way so that people couldn't lie about you and get you punished and in trouble. That you had to hear both sides of a story before you could pass judgment. And that if you were to go about enforcing laws or rules or making judgments about people without doing that what you're doing isn't fair. It's not nice, it's not kind, it's not just. It's, in a lot of ways, just you could be being misled and supporting somebody who's telling a complete lie in order to destroy somebody, to rob somebody, or to even, say, kidnap their child, their infant child, claiming that they are the parent. Right? Which is something that's been going on. Women grabbing strollers or car seats or grocery carts and things of this nature that have a baby in it that a man is pushing with their child in it. The father is pushing this object or carrying this car seat with this baby in it, and this woman will come up and grab it and start screaming, or scream while they're running after him, grab it and claim that he is trying to kidnap her baby. And then as soon as people separate them, she continues screaming as she backs away, and then she will get away, get in her car, and leave. Nobody's called the police yet. The police aren't even there. And everybody in the crowd immediately assumes that the man is trying to kidnap the woman's baby, and the woman kidnaps that man's child. This has been going on now for, a year and a half? People have been trying to draw attention to this method of kidnapping that's been going on. About a year and a half, 2 years maybe. I could easily be wrong about that and it be going on far longer. But if you're not listening to both sides of the story, that type of thing is the outcome. Listen to both sides of the story.
With the Johnny Depp issue and with a number of other issues, people are so quick to try and make living as a human being miserable. Do you understand? Like, people online are so quick to pick someone who they think is above them, they want to pull down to their level or whatever, and just try and do everything they can to destroy that person's life for the lulz. And
they do.
That is the internet environment that we are currently in. We're in a community that
it's an abusive community. An abusive, tyrannical community.
Like, the amount of lives I've seen destroyed by the internet. Like, Jenna Marbles was a good example when you guys made her cry on camera for something that was like a misunderstanding. You know, like there's so many people who are actually decent people that the internet just ripped apart and tried to ruin the life of.
See, like, I don't even know what that's about. All I know is that we've watched Jenna Marbles' videos. Not like a lot of them or most of them. We've seen one or two of her videos. And I enjoy it. I have enjoyed them. I think they're fun. And I enjoyed her. There you have it. As like a content creator and an entertainer, I enjoyed her.
And you gotta ask, like, is it really so bad flipping burgers for a living? Like, is this really worth YouTube monetization or whatever?
Oh no!
I'll be back in a second. Okay.
He had technical difficulties. It got us all.
I've been able to tap into a weird kind of optimism. It's been going on for, I don't know. But it's been going on for a little bit. Some days I'm bitter and angry, but some days I'm actually really doing relatively okay because it's like, there's a story and I want to share it with you, okay? There was this movie I saw. It was like a French film or something. I don't know what it was. Not my language. But I went to see it in a theater and I read the subtitles the whole time to see it. I don't know how I wound up in that theater. It was a real indie thing. Felt like a real hipster. But when I saw this movie, it was about a man who went to a concentration camp. And he went there with his son. And his son didn't understand that they were in a death camp. And so the father understood that the happiness of the son was like the most important thing ever, right? And so he's trying to explain things in their situation in a way that won't hurt the son, that the son can understand that this is kind of like, something he shouldn't think about, and trying to make a fictional universe around the son so he's not psychologically damaged by what's going on. And this father, he's such a good person. He sees like a pile of dead Jewish people who were killed by the Nazis, and he's trying to distract his son from that. And he's just generally trying to make the best of a terrible... He's trying to make the best of a terrible situation for his son. And I can relate to that in the sense that the love a father has for a son is overwhelming. And it's really important to treasure and value the health and the mental health and everything of kids, especially your own kids. So
that's true.
Seeing someone,
this is a good point.
Even though it's not exactly a documentary, but it's like seeing someone who's a father, based on, it's written by fathers, I'm sure, written by people who have had the father experience or whatever. Seeing someone in a concentration camp going through something so terrible and still trying to maintain a positive attitude and stuff like that. That's one of the most beautiful aspects of human beings and the human experience is that you can be in the worst possible situation, have everything taken away from you, be in a death camp where they're mass executing innocent people, and still do everything you can to keep hope alive and the human spirit alive and stuff like that. So,
Really?
I'm just saying that, like, if you have the opportunity to make your life better and to make the best out of things, you
It
should.
seems like by this point in the
Even if
story,
it's
he
going to
should
cost
have
you money, even
gone
if it's going to
past
cost you
there.
like significant temporary losses or whatever, or you can't live out your dreams. Like for instance, my dreams were creative. Since I was 15 years old, I was making videos and doing really entertaining things in making videos for people that I thought would help them. Like don't self-harm, don't kill yourself, don't. This is how you deal with depression, and this is how. I made thousands of videos and dedicated over a decade of my life to creating videos for people, and I wanted them to be helpful. And yet I said so many things that I regret, and I did so many things that were popular and were demanded of me, like, oh my god, talking about, furries, which was, I didn't care about furries, but every time I talked about furries, people were like, click, 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 like, monetization, all this stuff, and so I'm like, okay, let's talk more about furries, or like, there's these people who are into something called DDLG, and they dress up as babies for their partner and stuff, and I was like, this is gross, I hate this, but people were like, every time I made a video about this,
Yep.
it would just
Disgusting.
explode, so I kept making videos, like,
That
making
shit's
fun
gross.
of people who dressed as babies. And it's just like none of that was really my interest. My interest was making videos that helped people, or expressed my honesty, and it was used as my therapy. And then I'd make comedy videos that were really awesome. I loved making comedy videos, and just being able to joke and look in the comments and see people saying wonderful things and encouraging me. And I would make more comedy videos, and it was amazing. And that was like 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. So I had a great time, but things have changed a lot, and I don't want to talk about all my problems. I don't want to talk about like the things people tweet, or the videos people make, or the things people say in the national television. Like it's so crazy. I was just a guy, I was just a random guy serving in the U.S. military who was making stupid, funny videos, and then it blew up into me getting like 2 billion views before Adpocalypse. I got like 2 billion views on my videos because I was working every day and neglecting my life, throwing my life away essentially, so I could make videos for myself and people who liked me. But I was not spending time with my family as much as I should. I was not hanging out with friends. I had friends, right? So this isn't a big video saying like I'm good and people are bad, because everything I've done is human. Like everything, like you can predict every little, like why is he mad? Because humans get mad. Why is he sad? Because humans get sad. Why does he think this is
Welcome.
funny? Sometimes
Right.
people think things are funny. Like everything is explainable through basic human psychology. Anyway, so I was loved for a long time by a lot of people, and then at some point things turned, and then everybody hated me. And those issues are so complicated, or maybe they're simple. Don't piss people off. Like literally, maybe it is simple.
You can't make everybody happy. It's that simple, really, is you cannot make everybody happy. If you're trying to make everybody happy, you're only going to make yourself sad or upset in some way, right? So, I mean, that's really all that there is to that. Is if you're trying to make everybody happy, that's what's going to happen. You're going to make some people mad. People are never going to just wholesale agree with you. If they are, you don't have a single thought of your own. So what's worse? The problem is that in today's society, people don't want to just be like, oh, okay, well, I disagree with you on this, but that doesn't mean that I have to hate you. Or I disagree with you on this. That doesn't mean that I agree with, or I agree with you on this topic, so that doesn't mean I agree with you on everything you have to say. People today seem to think that if you follow, say, Steven Crowder, and then you follow Ben Shapiro, and you also follow Stephen Colbert and fucking choose whoever you want, Jimmy Kimmel, right? They're going to see that you follow whichever two of those people that they don't like, and they're going to say, well, you made me mad on this topic, so you align with this group of people because you follow these people that I don't like that are on that end of things. And they will ignore the fact that you follow as many people that have views that oppose the people that they pointed out as you do that agree with them, roughly. It probably leans one way or the other, but that doesn't mean that you see one more than the other either. You may see pretty even split or close to it. Most people, I would assume, would see a pretty even split if this is what they did. But people aren't doing that because they believe that if you follow or listen to or watch a show or content at all that has anything to do with something that they disagree with, that they must agree with everything you have to say. It could even just be as simple as you agree with one thing in a video, but you disagree with another thing. Well, now you just disagree with everything. So you don't like anything they make. And you may be so upset about the one point that you disagreed with that you go in and start hate commenting and hate following that person and hate watching that person. And that's the way people are now. And to be quite honest with you, some of the people who made content in the past that are still making content today do not have the mental fortitude, constitution, or their brain just isn't capable of dealing with the way people have changed. And to be honest, it's a shitty way to have to exist. Just hating everything because you disagree with it. So it has to be completely abolished, destroyed, removed, and taken away, and nobody can have any thoughts that disagree with you. So you just want to be your own dictator of the world and control everybody's ideas and thoughts at that point. So they use things to attack people instead of going, because see, when YouTube was younger and he was at a happier place doing these videos, even though he was, like he said, ignoring all these other things in life, the fact is, he was able to look at content other people were making, go, damn, why did that work? But when I did this, it didn't. What's different? We're both talking about the same thing. They both have a similar thumbnail. They both have a similar title. What is it that they're doing that's different? Instead of trying to figure out what somebody else was doing that's different and trying to make your stuff better so that you could hit that level and pass them by, it became a bucket of crabs where you're doing better than me. And instead of me assessing my content, comparing it to your content and seeing what I can do better, I'm just going to grab you and pull you down because I don't like what you said about this topic at this point in time, and I'm just going to make a video about that and rail on you. And that's how it operates today. It's not the kind of culture that he was making content in. It's the kind of culture that exists now. And it's a shitty culture, but it is what exists. Basically, if you're one of these people who's doing this, or you catch yourself doing this, be better.
When you piss people off, they piss back. Like if you piss on others, you're gonna get pissed on, and just turns into a pissing contest, and everyone's covered in pee by the end of it. So
they're all flinging your wieners in every direction, just getting pee everywhere.
Especially since
everybody's peed on.
I've prided myself on being the most honest YouTuber. One of the most. I think I always said one of the most because, of course, I couldn't possibly be the most honest because I haven't surveyed every YouTuber. But I passed polygraphs, and I've had Yankee White security. I'm pretty sure I've had Yankee White or just under Yankee White security clearance. So the U.S. government trusted me with it was like a big deal. I was certified in like every way as far as my honesty went. So yeah, I have good reason to say that.
What the fuck is he talking about? Yankee White security clearance or just under? There's literally secret and there's top secret. And within secret and top secret, you have different compartments that you have to be qualified as part of to have a need to know. Because first of all, you have to have the clearance. Do you have a secret or top secret clearance to get into this area? Because this area is either secret or top secret. The knowledge within this domain is either secret or top secret. First step, do you have a secret clearance to get into the secret area or top secret because it is a beyond secret, so you have the secret clearance as well? Do you have either one of those clearances so you can be in the secret area? And do you have a top secret clearance so you can be in the top secret domain? That's step one. Step two is need to know. Now, if you have a need to know, you know about these programs, or you should be able to request access to be read into them, and then they brief you on the overview of what that compartment is, what they're doing, their function, purpose is, their goal is, the aim of that compartment, and then you get to know what's working in there. So this Yankee White thing doesn't make sense at all. Like it's probably just a compartment of classification within the security force's job somewhere, but it's not a classification of how classified the information is and the level of trust that you were given within that domain. It just sounds impressive to people who don't know how classifications work.
Discharged under honorable conditions. Originally discharged honorably, but I think because I served 3.5 years and not 4 years, it had to be downgraded to under honorable conditions. But the point is,
that does sound right. I think there is a time frame for honorable versus under honorable conditions. Under honorable conditions is really rare. But that's neither here nor there. There was something else. What was it?
So yeah, I have good reason to say that. Discharged under honorable conditions. Security.
What was it?
Pretty sure I've had Yankee White or just under Yankee White.
That doesn't make any sense.
So the U.S. government trusted me with
See, so I'm not, with my whole thing about secret clearances, and I'm not trying to take away from the fact that he was trusted with that information. He passed the background checks to qualify with that, whatever clearance level that was, either secret or top secret. He's being dishonest about it to an extent here that's going to be misleading to people because they have no idea how things are classified. And he's saying Yankee White, which means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. So He's not telling you if he had a secret or a top secret clearance. He had a clearance. And here's the thing, being security forces, keeping the flight line secure. If you're on a base that has top secret aircraft, you're going to have to be cleared for top secret clearance because you may see and interact with those planes that are top secret. If you're working with secret airplanes, you will have to qualify for that clearance because you will have to see and interact with those planes. You're keeping them secure. So you would have to have the clearance level. You would have to be within the compartment that aircraft falls within. You don't have to be further into that compartment to understand how the aircraft works or what its mission is or its functionality. You just have to know it exists. You see what I'm saying? So he's blowing up the proportion of what he was trusted with beyond what it really was. He's doing a bit of exaggerating. And the way that he's talking about what kind of classified clearance he had is also misleading because it's nonsense. It doesn't take away from it. It's again because of the fact that he did have to have clearance to do his job. So he did pass those. He's just exaggerating. And I want people to understand the difference between how that works and how it doesn't. So when you hear these people that are like, oh, I have clearance beyond top secret. No, you don't. You just have information within a top secret program that is kept to a very small group and is kept much more secretive than other top secret programs are. That doesn't make it above top secret. It is still top secret.
It was like a big deal. I was certified in like every way as far as my honesty went. So yeah, I have good reason to say that. Discharged under honorable conditions. Originally discharged honorably.
And everything that he's saying does not qualify you of not lying.
Be downgraded to under honorable conditions. But the point is, you know, I really do value that blunt honesty. And blunt honesty, the problem with it is these days
I'm curious
it's
though.
not compatible with the world. And it upsets people. And it makes my life harder for my family. And my family is more important than anything. I'm like literally, I'm laying with my kid at night, and you know, so he has to go to bed. So I lay with him every night, and we watch SpongeBob together. And sometimes I'm playing games, or sometimes I'm on Twitter, or whatever, just retweeting funny memes or replying to funny stuff. And I'm thinking, this is the only thing in the world that matters. I don't matter. Nothing outside this house really matters. Just this wonderful human being and my life with these people. And I keep finding that being on social media, making videos and so forth as myself, I'm directly punishing the people I care about.
To an extent, he's not wrong. Making this choice will punish the people he cares about that he is responsible for taking care of because he's forgoing something that is a means of income that he uses to that end. So, it's true. However, let's talk about this a little bit. Discharge is a general discharge under honorable conditions, which is what Onision said he had, right? This type of discharge is given for a veritable laundry list of reasons. This can include drug or alcohol abuse or another long list of reasons. Problem with this type of discharge is several-fold. First, the narrative reason for separation is explained. Often this can be stated as simply as misconduct, right? Things like drug abuse or drinking and driving. This can qualify as misconduct, okay? line 28 of the DD 214. Also included is a separation code in line 26 of the form, which corresponds to the narrative reason for separation. Line 27 is a re-entry code. This code is on a scale from 1 to 4, with 1 being acceptable for further service, 2 or 3 acceptable for future service with waivers, 4 being ineligible for re-enlistment. A veteran can say they've received a general discharge under honorable conditions. The type of misconduct, for example, clearly delineated on the discharge is not particularly impressive to future employers. Also, the myriad of veteran benefits described above is not generally available to an individual with this type of discharge. So, he was discharged for a not honorable conditions, is what that means. Right? He did something, most likely some form of misconduct. It doesn't necessarily mean abusing anything or drinking and driving. Those are just examples. But it just means something that is... those are examples, obviously, of something illegal, which if you are breaking the law, you fall under the category of misconduct. Like if it's something like those examples, which are misdemeanors, right? Misconduct. Typically, you're not going to be removed from the military due to misconduct just because you're misbehaving or you did this once or twice. It's the fact that this has to be a consistent pattern in your life and you do not make corrections to your behavior to stop that trend in your life. Okay, that's when they remove you for misconduct. Granted, the amount of times that they will give you that opportunity depends on how badly the military needs people. If the military is downsizing, you only need a couple of these infractions. Maybe one if they really need to get rid of people. And you're out drinking and driving, bye-bye. Typically, you're going to need like 2 DUIs, not 1 DUI. Your first DUI is like, hey, fix your shit. And they do some things to try and make you fix your shit. And if you don't, you're gone. That's typically how it would work with a DUI. If they are really, really trying to get rid of people, they might take it down to 1. So, it's not that you just fucked up once. It's that you have a history of misconduct for them to give you that kind of delineation. So, and there are other reasons that they would give you under honorable conditions, but under honorable conditions is not honorable, and it does not qualify you to benefits from the VA. So him actually pointing that out is him being honest about his situation. However, it definitely does not help him with trying to argue that he is trustworthy or really anything along those lines. If he could be like, I have an honorable discharge, that would offer to you that he is a trustworthy individual. Anything else that you are discharged with, from the perspective of like an employer, which is what we'll look at this through in order to understand best how to interpret it personally, anything other than honorable says to an employer that you're not trustworthy, or that you are not likely to be trustworthy or dependable as an employee. Right? So that's kind of the situation that his discharge is versus how he's trying to portray it.
Making videos and so forth as myself, I'm directly punishing the people I care about, because as a result of me following my passions, they have to deal with people walking up to me in public and saying things to me. You know, everyone who's walked up to me in public lately has been awesome, wonderful, nice. Just the other day, my cousin, I was out to eat a meal with my cousin, and he came up to me and he said, yeah, I was just in the store and they were saying, "Oh, that's Onision. I love that guy. He's really funny." And I'm like, "Thank God it was positive," you know. I was at another restaurant and I was with my family, and someone came up and said, "Are you Onision?" I said yes, and they said, "Okay," and then they walked off. And then this was actually longer ago. I just came to me, so not everything has actually been positive. I just remember this one thing. But then she goes on Twitter and rants about how she was terrified because I was ordering a burrito or a burrito bowl or something. And I'm like, why would you walk up and introduce yourself to me?
Look, her saying she's terrified doesn't mean that she's terrified of you. Maybe she was just incredibly anxious to meet somebody that she watches for entertainment. See, and this is a problem of just fame in general. If the more people know you, the more likely you are to encounter these types of issues. Like, congratulations. That's the lifestyle of people who are famous. It's what nobody discusses. This is why celebrities are so fucking weird, is because they have to deal with this all the time. These aren't normal human interactions. These are strange as fuck interactions to have with another person. And they're the person who's the center of the interaction that's taking place in this really awkward way. That's the pitfall to it. So, yes, apparently he went into this and made this whole thing into something very successful and never once considered what that would entail.
And I'm eating with my family, and who wants that? Who wants that for their family? No one. No one wants to go out in public and have people snapping photos. Um, there was this issue with someone at Lowe's where they took a picture of they violated my privacy and my family's privacy is what I'm saying, and it was really upsetting, really deeply upsetting. And if you're a father who cares about his kids, you simply cannot be online. Not like this. You can't be a public person. You cannot have your face everywhere because your kids are directly impacted by that.
And the only reason that this is really a large concern is because of the fact that people can come across his older content, say, what a piece of shit because I don't like X, and then target him and his family maliciously. This is a pitfall of fame. This is a legitimate pitfall of fame that a lot of people have fallen into, and it's nothing new. The problem is that in today's society, it's worse than it was before, because before you'd have to be a certain level of famous and have a certain type of fan who is crazy and stalking you for this to be an issue. Today, the fear is violence. The fear is risk of life. So that was unpredictable. But having people want to come up and take pictures and, oh my God, I really like that guy, or being really extra nervous around you because they see you on the internet as an entertainer, that was all very predictable.
And, you know, it's pretty disgusting that I didn't come to this conclusion a lot sooner. A lot of people will film the birth of their children and they'll make their children little celebrities.
That's weird.
I don't understand that.
No, that's weird.
The woman who played Eleven on Stranger Things, she was bullied off of social media, and she's just a kid. Well, she was a kid when she got bullied. Now I guess she's an adult. Anyway, the point is that social media is so terrifying and so negative for people who try to use it. A long time ago, it was awesome and amazing and it was exciting, and now it's just. It's a good if you can be famous and be like, haha, look at me, I made millions or whatever. But the consequences are never enough. Like it's just like they're always too much, is what I should say. The consequences always outweigh the wonders and joys of having a nice private life with the people that you love. that. And there's just so many crazy people. Oh my god. It's like the crazy people were all away from each other, right, for a really long time. And then eventually they found ways to communicate with each other more in stronger groups. And it's like the torch carriers and the outrage. I think you get it. I think you know. And if you don't know yet, you will know. You'll see over time social media degrading more and more and more, becoming more and more crazy and polarizing and almost cult-like.
Oh, he's got another technical problem.
Seriously?
That's a technical foul.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm leaving social media, is what I'm saying. And I've said it before, but my reason has never been this good.
No, he's actually got a solid reason to not want to
But I still
be
have to
on
do
there.
things,
So
like if you're subscribed to me on something
there you
and
go.
paying for it, I still have to do that. Because you're paying me and I owe you that. So if you've paid for some subscription service, my website, OnlyFans or whatever, I still have to do that. But as far as Twitter, YouTube, all the stuff I don't get paid for, I can't do that anymore because it simply does not make any sense. Yeah. So
yeah, it would still make sense. It just
continue trying to be a normal, functional human being.
doesn't make
like I was when I was in the military.
It's just not worth it to him to take that risk.
I did try to join the military again,
So
actually, but they
there's
rejected
that.
me because I don't want to kill people. Dang. I was like, guys, I don't have to kill people. You just give me a desk job or make me be the guy that pumps out all the septic tanks or whatever on base. I'll do that. I'll be the guy that sucks poop out of the ground. And they're like, no, you have to be, you have to want to kill people. I was like, but I don't want to.
It's called conscientious objector. Like, they're not going to willingly enlist somebody who is a conscientious objector when we're not in a situation that we have to have bodies. Okay? The military will not do it. You're a conscientious objector. It's that simple. They're not going to let you in. We're not at war. We don't have a need for the bodies. You're not going to get in. That's all there is to it. Plain and simple. The military is not an equal opportunity employer and it's never once claimed to be one. So, there you go.
So I have to consider other options, but yeah. Alright, so there's a lot of people that I love who are fans and supportive of me. I will talk to you guys on onision.com. I guess the Onision Discord will still be open, and there's a lot of men who love me on OnlyFans. A lot of men. Which, shout out to the gay community. I am so blessed to have you guys want to do whatever that is to me. I'm a top. But, if that's what you're into, I'm not going to shame you. Because, I'm like you. I'm also, too much information.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck.
I appreciate all the gay men who have been supportive of me and find some value in me, because that's really great. Love is love. Gay men are awesome. Great. This is awkward. I end this with hey, social media, goodbye. I love
Holy shit, is he
gay
going to
men.
rant
They're
about this
so
for the next
nice.
2.5 minutes? Like, it's literally nothing.
Yeah, private life. I guess what I'm saying. And this is the longest goodbye video I've ever made, so it must be legit.
Probably, maybe, possibly not, because you clearly don't want to do it. Okay, then it's just a clips of some old shit, I guess. So, we're going to take a hot take on this now. All right, you ready for my hot take on what the fuck this is? You ready? Because you're about to hear it. So, all of the issues that he discussed seeing through the way that the way people interact and view content on the internet now versus when he started. Everything that I said about it, highlighting other ways that this is manifested and other ways that we can see it, and kind of just more context to what he said, right? All of this coincides with the people who aligned with the gay rights movement and the Democratic Party. And like I say the gay rights movement, but I really mean just about every example you could think of that was a protest of equality or inclusion or any of that type of thing that you can and a lot of people at the time were making connections to the Democratic Party, right? As the Democratic Party and these activist efforts started to just obtain support from the media and the way the media discusses and covers their actions, as well as support from politicians on social media, as well as within legislation, the way that people in society started treating each other became the same way that it is online. If you disagree with anything coming from the left, you must be far right. And that can literally just be the fact that the left has come up with things that the left did not agree with 5 years ago. The things that the left did not agree with 10 years ago. Things that the left was diametrically opposed to, or not diametrically opposed to, but that they were very opposed to and said they would not ever support 20 years ago. They're now forcing upon us or threatening to force upon us or trying to force upon us. And if you disagree with those views, but the rest of everything you believe is in line with the left, they will call you far right. They will dox you. They will try to attack you. And in some cases, they've recognized people in the street or seen people that they mistook for someone they recognized off of the internet in the street and physically attacked them for it. As point of reference, you can look up, I believe it was the Chaz that this happened in, if you remember when that was a thing, where BLM and Antifa went in and controlled an entire portion of a major city in the United States. And there's video on the internet, still exists, that you can go find if you want to, of people there claiming to have found what they called a Trump supporter. This person's not wearing a MAGA hat, they're not wearing MAGA shoes, like a MAGA shirt, there's nothing about them to symbolize that they are in fact a Trump supporter. But you hear somebody yell, "Trump supporter, get him, Trump supporter." And then you hear some pow-pows. That's the level of escalation that has taken place within society because of the views and how they've been supported and promoted from one side to be the only thing that is compassionate, that is caring, or inclusive, or where people have any kind of a hope of success. But that is the result of what they're pushing on us, is this violent action from one person to another for not agreeing with your beliefs, which by definition is the actions of a tyrannical, fascist, authoritarian regime. That's how it operates. Be better. You can agree with what they are saying that we should have and what we should do as a society without violently attacking and viciously hating anyone who disagrees on any individual topic. be better. Now we're going to take a break while I set up my PlayStation, though, because